Here we go.
Keith Bailey. Let your fascination take flight. Let your fascination take flight. Keith Bailey.
Look up in the sky. Is that a bird? No. Is it Superman? Absolutely not. What you're seeing up there is my midlife crisis. A man standing out in a field flying a little remote control plane. That's right. I'm that guy. You're probably thinking to yourself, Keith, come on, seriously? Remote control planes? And the answer is absolutely. I'll tell you what, it is way cheaper than that canary yellow Corvette convertible. And it is way less drama than dating a 21-year-old yoga instructor. And of the three, well, it's the only one my wife approves of. So, remote control planes it is. And it's not so much a midlife crisis, to be honest. It's more of a midlife fascination. I've always been fascinated with flight. We've all had fascinations come and go our entire lives. Remember that time? That time where you were fascinated with eating dirt? Well, luckily that fascination passed us by and we've moved on to greener pastures. But fascinations come and go. And a year ago, I was swept off the ground with the fascination of flight. And over the last year, I've learned something very important, 3 very important insights that I want to share with you today to help you the next time a fascination comes along, and it'll help you let your fascination take flight. I remember I'm at City Park, and in the distance is a boy holding a remote control, and his gaze is on this little plane, and curiosity gets the best of me, and I go up to him. I'm like, hey, where'd you get that? Hobby store. How much did you pay for it? $100. I'm like, done and done. Next day, I went to the hobby store. I bought the exact same plane. I went back to City Park. I put the batteries in the controller. I put the batteries in the plane. I fired up and I'm doing it. I'm flying, albeit not that good. And also, where do all these trees come from? There's some weird thing with trees and little planes. It's like they're magnets for each other. But I'm able to avoid the trees and I make this banking turn and suddenly the plane is flying directly back at me. And that's when everything goes wrong. Because as the plane is flying at me, left becomes right, right becomes left, and I don't know what to do. And what do we all do when we panic? We freeze, like fainting goats. Now that plane flies directly up over my head and whack, into a tree. And that's where I learned my first insight. The importance of environment. I shouldn't be flying at City Park. I should be at an RC field. And they exist at Cherry Creek Reservoir. And this is what's incredible. I went out there and found the right environment. And the next thing that I found my tribe. I found other people that are interested in the same thing that I'm interested in. And we as Toastmasters know what this feels like. I remember it's 2014. I'm a fledgling Toastmaster and I'm sitting in the audience. And on stage is none other than Ed Tate, 2000 international speaking world champion. And he's giving his farewell speech. And at the end of his speech, he imparts this knowledge upon us that really just set me free. Toastmasters is not the place you deliver your best. This is the place where you try new things. This is the place where we stretch ourselves. This is a safe place. See, within this community, within this tribe, we find our permissions to try new things. And do me a favor, when you do find your community and your tribe, do this thing that I did not do upon going out to this airfield. Have patience. Have patience. Don't be in such a hurry when you... I'm not going to say it anymore. But patience is critical. I went out to Cherry Creek. I put my plane on the taxiway. And taxiway goes out to the runway. And instead of going out to the start of the runway, I go to the end of the runway. And then I hit full gas on my plane. And you can imagine what happens. I ran out of runway before I ever got flight. The nose goes over the end, it buries itself, it kicks up and I snap and I break a wing. That's when one of the old fly dogs comes up to me and he's like, you know what's of no use to a pilot? The runway that is behind you. How insightful. We have to use the whole runway. Right? How often do we come across something and want to find the shortcut, the cheat, the easy pill? They don't exist. And if we're really fascinated by it, give yourself the grace. Put in the work. My wife is learning how to play ukulele. And she tries the same pattern over and over and over and over and over and over. And to me, that is using the whole runway. Because something magical happens when you use the whole runway. You're going to find yourself gaining speed. And then suddenly you're going to feel that lift underneath your wings. You're going to feel yourself lifting up. And the next thing you know, you're flying. You're doing it. And that's where the third insight comes in. Same old fly dog comes up and he's like, as soon as you get yourself off the ground, you want to find yourself 3 mistakes above the ground. For you see, in remote control planes, when you're 3 mistakes above the ground, you have altitude. You have a buffer where you can try new things. You have the latitude, the altitude, to make mistakes. We're all fallible. We all make mistakes. It's a part of learning. But how often do we not give ourselves those permissions? Let's say you've wanted to learn how to do sourdough, and you've made a whole bunch of sourdoughs. You're kind of tired of it. I want to try something new. Perhaps you want to put olives into the sourdough. I don't know. Go for it. Give it a try. What's the worst that happens? Right? Bread doesn't come out right. Or if it's plain, you crash it, which I've done many times. You just glue them back together and stick them back up in the sky. The next time that you're out there and you look up and you might see a bird, you might see Superman. Heck, you might even see an old guy like me flying a remote control plane. But remember these 3 insights. Environment. You will find the tribe, the people who will lift you up. Have patience. Give yourself the patience and use the whole runway. And third, give yourself the grace and the permission to be what we are, is human. Make a few mistakes along the way. Crack a few eggs. And then you will be able to let your fascination take flight.
Thank you. Please turn off your microphone and your video, and we will observe 1 minute of silence. Timer, please give me a signal.